Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and Inside Tonight is a very special opportunity platform in terms of learning about life, connecting about different aspects of life, and with the arrival of social media, when you get an opportunity to reconnect with people after 30, 40 years, a lot of water, as they say, has flown down the Ganga Maya, and life brings a lot of challenges in our lives, and how we face them, how we interpret our possibilities makes all the difference. And I have the pleasure of welcoming someone who during my MBA days at Jodhpur was like a hero in his own way, a thinker, and he faced a very challenging period in his life, how he came out of it, and how he has embraced gifts of life in his own unique way. I have the pleasure of welcoming someone who is a poet, a singer, a photographer, and whatnot. Let me take this opportunity of expressing my gratefulness to you, Rajesh, for joining. Namaste. How are you?
Namaste, Ashokji. Fine, fantastic.
So,
Thank you for having me here.
very quickly, if we trace your journey after you finished MBA, you were passionate about filmmaking, you went to FTII, and let us walk through those days quickly.
Yeah, I mean, after MBA, as you said, I always wanted to be a film director, and I applied to FTI. They offered me cinematography course, which I was not interested in. I wanted to be director, so very foolishly I said no to them. Lack of exposure, basically. And then I got into a business for some time, and then got into very cliched progression in terms of career, that engineering MBA means capital equipment, engineering, technical equipment, marketing, and that's how I started. And the corporate life, Ashokji, is something like uh, whether it is you are suitable for it or not, whether it's against your grain or not. Once you get into it, it's sort of a conveyor belt you have to keep running, and that rat race is something which makes huge demand on you to be always successful. And more successful you get, higher the threshold is to quit that whatever you are doing. So I got trapped in that. I was burning at both ends, and I was working very hard. I was traveling most of the time, 20 days a month, working long hours, not looking after my health and all. And everything got accumulated in, as they say, bad karma in terms of what I was doing, to my body. And then one day, 2012, I was addressing a gathering of my business associates and industry people, and I had a brain fogging incident, and I absolutely blanked out for 2 minutes. I was not knowing what I was doing there, who are these people sitting there, and what are the reasons we have come together. And that gave me a lot of scare. And after that, I went to doctor, and I was diagnosed as a celiac. Celiac is a genetic mutation I was born with. There's a chromosome 6, and on the chromosome 6 there is a protein. I mean, there's a uh, DL8 and DL2 kind of mutation takes place, and that mutation does not allow my system to digest gluten. And being from Jodhpur, Rajasthan, where the staple diet is wheat, all throughout my life I have been eating gluten. So I was harming my body. I was eating poison unknowingly, and it busted my thyroid. It busted my joints. My joints became ossified. Uh, I had osteoarthritis. It busted my uh, intestines as well. And then this thing happened, the last stage, which was just before I was about to be pushed off the cliff. And luckily for me, I was diagnosed, and then There's no cure for this. I mean, until unless you do the CRISPR gene editing, there's no cure for this. So I have to live with this. But there's a very simple solution as well. I have to remain away from gluten. But whatever damage it did to my body, it was not possible at that point of time, 2012, 2013, to even imagine that I'll be working again, or I can work again. So the first immediate impact was I had to leave a very well paying corporate job, a very top executive post, and a lot of hard work in that red race I did to achieve that mukam.
So
But
allow me to interrupt you. And now, when you look back and you refer to that phase as rat race, but there must have been things in addition to uh, the perks which you must have enjoyed in terms of learning of life, which that environment, which has its own pressure and challenges, also offers. Uh, the reason I ask you this question is there is always a bright side to wherever you are, and being such a sensitive poet and a voracious reader and thinker, what is it that you learned from that corporate life which you feel is valuable?
the corporate life basically teaches you a very important thing in life, and that is the survival. Whether you as an employee in a company or the company in the marketplace, fighting a market war with competitive businesses, survival is the game. So all the time you have to be very, very clear about where you stand vis-a-vis others, and what is the gap and how to bridge that. So that kind of analytical mindset it provides you, which enables you to survive. I think that's the only thing. There are a lot of negative things, but those negative things were personally for me because I mean, basically, my own liking was to get into something, a creative field, not in a corporate job. And corporate job sucked life out of me, and I had to be successful. Why I had to be successful? Because that is the only rule in the game. If I'm not successful, I will not get financial security. I will not get social validation, which was important in those days. I had responsibilities. So all those things become trap. And your success, more successful you get, harder it is for you to give up that, because you always think now it is okay. Now I've earned it. Why should I go back to my calling? So then this thing happened when I was
Yeah. Sorry,
diagnosed.
yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, sorry.
yeah.
So, I just want to walk with you in terms of your inner journey also. You were a voracious reader and a writer and a poet already. Uh, so during your corporate days, you could sustain that passion of expressing through poetry, or that took a backseat.
I think poetry took a backseat for a time, but I remained a reader all throughout my life, uh, and that was the only safe place for me to go back to some corner and read. That's how I kept my sanity together. Uh, and if somebody was working with me at that time, no, he wouldn't be able to tell, or she wouldn't be able to tell that I wasn't enjoying my work, because I was so much faking it to make it successful. And I was very successful at what I was doing, but satisfied, no. And the only solace at that point of time was books. I wanted to travel. I was traveling a little bit. I was traveling a lot for my work, but those traveling was like very shallow traveling. They were not real traveling in the real sense.
Yeah, one more thing. Uh, any favorite book or authors that you particularly kept up with, or you kept on changing the kind of books that you were reading? One, two question. The second part of this question is, while you were faced with that, if I call it ultimate challenge, which told you that you are not going to be able to continue the kind of life that you have been leading, and you will have to figure out what to do. And also, when you are faced with a situation where you feel that your options are getting limited, or you will have some restricted choice to move forward to, at that point of time, how your mind functions, it also draws from what you have read or what you have accumulated in terms of your life learning so far. So if you kindly share this period from the point of view of your inner response to uh, what was happening.
Now, there where's the contradiction in life happens. What I was reading was very liberating. What I was reading, like I was reading, I have been a great fan of John Steinbeck. I've read all of his work. Great fan of Premchand, the great fan of Surikant Nirala, Tripathi Nirala, I've, Harivansh Rai Bachchan. I've been reading all these authors, and the sense I get there is that I need a rooted life. But what I was living was not rooted. It was a corporate life where I have to have a mukhota every morning. I have to have a mukhota, and till evening when I come back home, that mukhota will be off. So it was contradictory that at that point of time. But what kept
Yeah, let
what
yeah, just tempted to share one couplet from
Hmm.
Sheen Kav Nizam's poetry that very much
Disaji.
so वो कहते हैं कि तू अकेला है बंद है कमरा अब तो चेहरा उतार कर रख दे.
हाँ,
So that's what you
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल,
uh,
एब्सोल्युटली। उसी समय का एक मैं आपको एक अपना शेर सुनाता हूँ।
जी जी
अ,
इरशाद.
एक सेकंड दीजिए मुझे।
जी जी. तो राजेश
वो एक हाँ
अंग्रेजी
जी।
और हिंदी दोनों भाषा में लिखते हैं, उर्दू में भी लिखते हैं आप. जी.
सो ये था इसी तरह का कोई ख्याल कि
हम्म.
शाम घुसाइए सिमट कर कमरे कमरे की दहलीज पर।
क्या बात.
शाम घुसाइए सिमट कर कमरे की दहलीज पर, आंखें अब नम हो सकती है अंधेरे की दहलीज पर।
क्या बात. क्या बात.
Like all throughout the day you feel like crying, but you can't cry, you have to keep a facade, right? But
हम्म.
now it's the evening time and the sun is just leaving the room and you are find the refuge in the dark. Now you can cry.
हम्म. हम्म.
So ये एक विरोधाभास था, क्योंकि एक आप एक मान के चलिए, if you are a reader, I mean why any person would read? Person reads because it expands your mind.
हम्म.
When your mind is expanding and you are in a straight jacketed job, corporate job is straight jacketed job. I mean, there are rules, there are do's and don'ts, right?
हम्म.
There are objectives, and those objectives you have to go, whether you believe them or not believe them. We collectively we set those objectives, we have to go. So that straight jacketed approach, and one approach which is telling you no, no
हम्म.
limits, expand. There's more to life than this,
हम्म.
and all those things propel you to uh, go somewhere else than this corporate job. But you were there in corporate job, so that kind of virodhabhas contradiction was always there.
हम्म. हम्म.
And I think it gave me a symbol as well as, I mean, it gave me a lot of support. Okay, look, there is a possibility sometime if it happens that I have to move,
हम्म.
which I will not willingly move because it was financial stake was too high. I would not. But if it happens, then it will be all right because
हम्म.
there are so many things become all right in the books.
Mhm. So now talking about the creative side of Rajesh Sharma and how it helped you in coping up with the kind of situation that life had placed you due to discovery of this disease.
So after that, the immediate thing was that I had to decide that I will not work in a corporate job. And there's a very good professor in Harvard. He used to write for Harvard as business review. I don't know whether he was working with them or not. Robert J. Thomas. So Robert J. Thomas wrote a paper called Crucible of Leadership. Now, leadership is a misnomer here. You can say crucible of life. And he is referring to this kind of thing only. Ki what you do when the hell break loose, wheels come off, things go south. It can happen because of medical emergency. It can happen because of some financial losses you have suffered, business gone up, gone down, whatever reason is. You suddenly find Okay, this you never expected and you are facing it, then what do you do? And that is the character of a person. Like you have to pick the pieces and move ahead. Now, which direction you move ahead and which pieces you pick is entirely up to you. So at that point of time, I decided that I would not work against my grain, which I have been doing so far. I have enough financial security to do my own things, forge my own path. So I picked those things which I had left a long time behind before the career. And all those things I said I will reinvent myself. Now, when you say reinventing yourself, it does not mean reinventing. It's not easy. I mean, there is no set formula for reinventing yourself. How do you reinvent yourself, and why you would reinvent yourself? Repurposing life is a very difficult thing, isn't it? So, one thing is that there's a compulsion on the physical side that you have to reinvent, that you have to be on non gluten diet, you have to look after your gut health, you have to do some physical activities much more often, you have to look after your bone health, and blah, blah, blah. That was one thing. Second thing was how to not to be a victim in my thought process. Okay, I should not be a victim, and how I look uh, within myself, that a force which can forge a new path. A meditation of two kind. One meditation is that which makes you aware of your own self, like which I did after my 2 months of stay in hospital in Ravi Shankar's hospital in Bengaluru. I was introduced to breathing exercise, Sudarshan Kriya, and that helped me in developing a technique for looking within my own self. That was one uh, this thing which makes you aware of your place in the world. But then the second meditation which I found on my own was this, that you become so much dissolved in your surrounding, immersed in your surrounding, that you become a part of your surrounding. There is no difference between your surrounding and you. That boundary is broken. And what are those activities which actually propelled me to this was trekking. Trekking is one thing which I found was very meditative. Once you start trekking in the mountains and you're alone, there's nobody, miles together, and uh, yeah, that's a picture not of trekking, but yes, that's a picture in uh, uh, snowmobile. Yes,
Okay. So these are the images
yeah,
which,
yes, yes.
yeah, yeah.
So tracking helped me. Tracking helped me in uh, learning those things, that in a particular surrounding you can be very successfully immerse yourself. And then I extended it back. If it can happen on my tracking, why it can't happen when I read a book, right? Why it can't happen when I listen to music? Why I should shun the world away to meditate? I can be with that and still be aware of myself. So connection of me or my place with, in correspondence with things around me, things are happening, activities, people. So that was external meditation. So those things I did. One was breathing exercise, the
So,
other thing is,
yeah, the second one, it's quite profound and difficult to comprehend how, if there is some technique that would help you, because in general we are used to, let's say, this surrounding which you have, these beautiful mountains and golden peaks, and so
that's
there is
Everest in
so much,
between. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
so much expansion around you. At that time, to be at peace with yourself is probably easier, rather than when you have things happening around you. And what you just mentioned, that external or the boundary line blurs between you and your surrounding. um, is there any technique that you either develop on your own for yourself which helps you in being, or it's just a natural progression of the other meditation?
As I said, it's natural progression of tracking, where I felt it uh, immediately. And I, whenever I track in a small group, which I put together, and we all track. But during the track, I don't, I'm not with anybody. I mean, I either 1 kilometer ahead or half a kilometer back, I am with my own self. I only have my camera and my own self. And I found that the tiredness diminishes after half a day of trekking, and the nature takes over, and you feel a part of the tree, the birds, the terrain, everything. So when I said when this can happen, it means what?
Mm.
I'm feeling totally immersed in the surrounding, because I'm liking it, because I'm it's giving me something back. So if I put the same technique when I read the book, why I don't live the character, live the surround? I do. I mean, many people, even I used to read book for information, for getting what it says. But the moment you change this outlook, I'm not reading book for showing or ticking some boxes. I've read this book. I'm reading this book because there's a lot of thing in this book is written. Let me get into this. Let me get into the rabbit holes which is point towards, and I go deeper, deeper, and I become a part of a book.
Rajesh, this let's say this place and this place
So
and
this
these
is
places,
Everest. Yeah, this is Kashmir.
right? So what I wanted to ask you is, you mentioned that though you were trekking in a group, but you would stay by yourself, and so
Yeah.
many times we find that most of us are scared of being with ourselves. When I say scared, we have some sort of a pressure to pretend to be something. And so my question to you is, what was your take or feeling when you're all by yourself, and probably communicating with nature, or what is it that you would say stayed with you in terms of the impression of being there during those trekking expeditions?
I tell you simply, Ashok, like as I told you, my physical challenges, like I have impinged hip joint and I have bad joints ossified because of celiac and all. I mean, and I have tracked, I've done about more than 28 tracks all over the country, or in fact, many, many countries. And I have gone to the height of about 18,000, 19,000 feet, right? All these things, when you do, even for a normal person, a young person who is very healthy and all, they start asking this question, abhi aur kitna chalna hai? I never asked, because for me, half a day into it, I get totally immersed. I mean, I just don't feel I'm different from what is around me, whether even a rock or a tree or some wildlife or whatever it is. I just feel that. I mean, that was the one feeling which was absolutely amazing. And first time it happened to me when I was trekking. And so, yeah, these are the road trips, self self drive road trips. Yeah. So, all these things when it was happening, I realized that I have either the capacity to have this kind of immersion with my surroundings, and if I have at the one place, can I extend to other places as well, which I consciously did. This happened unconsciously. This happened on its own. It was organic. Then I try to mimic it in other places. Like when I listen to music, I'm a great fan of uh, Hindustani classical music, jazz, fusion music. So when I listen to that, I started trying to immerse in that. When I read the book, I try to. And
Mm,
suddenly I found, yes, I could do it.
So Rajesh, since we only have few minutes, I want you to share about this.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is another form of meditation for me. It's called Zen doodling, and whenever I'm not in mountain and I feel like going back in that zone and I'm not reading, then I do Zen doodling, and it has no meaning. It has absolutely no. When I start, this is absolutely has no picture in my mind, and I just keep shading, shading, shading. I make mathematical uh, shapes, because mathematics is something I really connected with, and then I keep making it, and suddenly the picture emerges.
Beautiful.
Suddenly, picture emerges, and I think, oh, this is what it is, and I keep doing it for hours together, and I absolutely, I mean, I lose the track of time and lose the track of my surrounding. So that Zen doodling, that's why I call it Zen doodling. It is
Eh,
very meditative.
So,
It's very meditative.
very now let's look at this. What is this?
Now, this is the band which I found with my son. Mandor is a place is in near Jodhpur,
Yes.
and my son is into rock music, alternative rock music, and he made some tunes, and he wanted me to write poetry. So I wrote good poetry. There 4 5 songs were there, and I wrote good poetry in English and gave it to him. So he, to fit in the tune, and he did whatever with that poetry, and there was heavy instrumentation. So this album came out in 2022 November. It didn't do so well in India, but it did very well in Argentina and Indonesia. For what purpose we don't know. And it was a good album for the as a first album. But what I was not happy with this, that it devastated my poetry. My poetry got drowned in the instrumentation. So I wanted to, have something where the poetry takes dominance in music.
So, since
And
we just have a minute or two, if I may request you to maybe share one of your poem, and also you have come up with another song, which is Samucha. That is not like a band.
Samucha's group, the song is uh, रह गया कोई हिस्सा बात बाकी. Would you like me to
Please,
read
please.
that?
Yes, sir. So that is another expression by Rajesh, who gave uh, a band a shape with his son Mandor, and this Samucha word. Yeah.
Yeah, this Mandor has a EP name. Forget about it. I mean, listen to it whenever you get time. And if you get the poetry, I will be very happy. But the Samucha, रह गया कोई हिसाब बात बाकी. हिसाब बात बाकी मतलब when I pay 100 rupees and I've taken 70 rupees worth of good from you, you give 30 rupees back. And here everything is metaphor. मैं शराब is not शराब is life. मैं जो मैसर किसी और को न हो, ऐसी जिंदगी जो किसी और को मिले नहीं. मैं जो ऐसी शराब जो किसी और को मिले नहीं, वादा उसको पिलाने का था ए साकी. Who is Saki here? Saki is the life giver, parent, God, whoever. मैं जो मैं से किसी और को न हो, वादा उसको पिलाने का था ए साकी. बट बस लबों तक पहुंची और छलक गई. क्या रह गया कोई हिसाब बात बाकी. बट वो मुझे मिली नहीं. मेरे पास तो आई, लेकिन छलक गई वो. क्या, व्हाट इज द रीजन? को मेरा कार्मिक हिसाब बाकी रह गया, क्या हो गया? और फिर ये आदमी है कंप्लेनिंग मोड में. ये कंप्लेन कर रहा है गॉड को. किरदार नए तेरी महफिल के, महफिल जो तूने दुनिया की बनाई है, किरदार उसका किरदार नए तेरी महफिल में के मेरा सावन भी पी गए. द लाइफ इज सो एंटाइटल टू मी, दे हैव टेकन इट. तृष्णा गिरी भाई कायम, मैं तो प्यासा रहा, तृष्णा गिरी रही भाई कायम. हम बैठे बन मायूस फिराकी. आई जस्ट जस्ट सिटिंग लाइक दैट. अब इसी में अब देखिए अब क्या होता है. सेंस ऑफ बिट्रेल भी है इस बंदे में, कि मेरे को बिट्रे किया है. गॉड ने बिट्रे किया है या पेरेंट ने बिट्रे किया है, हुसोवर माय माशूक ने बिट्रे किया है. वो बोलता है उसलूब सुकन की भी ये नहीं ढब. एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ पोएट्री भी इस महफिल में हम जो बैठे हैं, इसमें एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ पोएट्री भी डिफरेंट है. महफिल में क्या बाकी रह गया अब मेरे लिए, अब क्या बाकी रह गया. उसलूब सुकन तो अलग है, डिफरेंट है. कर्श, लेकिन नाउ द एंकर, लाइक साकी इज द एंकर. वो क्षमा रख देती है आपके सामने. कर शमाए महफिल मेरी जानिब. नाउ नोइंगली यू हैव पुट, आई एम नॉट फिट फॉर दिस महफिल. यू हैव पुट दैट शमा इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी. कर शमाए महफिल मेरी जानिब, पोशीदा पयाम तेरा कुछ और है विसाकी. माई
क्या
बिलवड यू हैव ए हिडन मैसेज. तब्दील है कयाम. ये लाइफ इज चेंज, सर्कमस्टांसेस चेंज. कुछ तू भी बंदी है साकी. रह गया शायद कोई मेरा हिस्सा बात बाकी.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. So we'll have more with Rajesh and different aspects, a little bit more in depth. But it was such a pleasure and quite inspiring to learn about your journey. With lots and lots of good wishes, may courage and creativity continue to unfold the sense of fulfillment for you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanking
Ashok,
him
for
and
having me.
thanking all
Thank
of
you.
you for being with us.